So I went and purchased this OBD2 sensor VP here, and basically it's a Bluetooth enabled that allows me to connect my iPad to this sensor, and then we can actually read the codes that are throwing out. Now I know BMWs have all these other codes and things like that, but this is just a pretty good device. It's about 30 some odd dollars. I'll put a link in the description for it. I can use it not just on the BMW, but I can use it on some of our other vehicles too, just for troubleshooting. So let me show you what we found, and we'll take a look at some of the codes, and then we'll get working on this. Alright, so I have the OBD sensor installed, so it's basically just as easy as going here, clicking connect. It's going to go ahead and connect via Bluetooth. So as you can see, I'm a little bit far away from the car, which is kind of neat. So we could come here and we can see that it's starting to read the codes. And then we've got a couple of different things here that are in the confirmed state, and then we have this one that's in the pending state. So the P0102, or mass or volume airflow circuit, low input here. So basically I was having an issue with that particular code, and I'll show you what the mass airflow sensor looks like and how and why we're possibly getting that. Okay, so this is the mass airflow sensor housing. So this is the actual housing. It gets connected back to this boot here, so this boot gets attached here, and the previous owner had modified this and put in a cold air intake. Now the cold air intake looked like it was not fitting quite well. So this cold air intake, I believe, was for a larger size MAF, because when I took all this apart, there was basically the seal here wasn't matted up appropriately to this cold air intake. So I'm going to show you what I did to fix that. Okay, so the other thing that I found was an issue was the mass airflow sensor basically was pretty much loose. So this pretty much goes in like that. So this came off while I was trying to take things apart. And there's these little elements in here, and it looks like a few of those elements are actually broken. So based on the fact that this looks like it had some things that were broken here, as well as the code that we were getting, and the fact that this wasn't glued on, or if it was glued on, it wasn't sealed up properly. It pretty much just kind of all came apart as I was looking at all this. So we're gonna go ahead and replace this. So actually got this blue streak here, and you want to be careful with the part number. So this mass airflow sensor again is this is a smaller diameter mass airflow sensor than some of the other BMW models in the E46. So this one, the blue streak model here, is MF21174N. That's the right size. I actually picked up another one, and it was a larger diameter, and so it didn't fit. Now the funny thing is, it actually fit into the previous cold air intake. Actually, this isn't it. It was an AFE item here. So AFE, this bigger one here, when I bought the first mass airflow sensor, it actually fit to that. But the problem was it didn't fit the hose going back down there. This guy here, it wouldn't fit. So I went back to the parts store. This is the appropriate one here. So we're gonna take this out. We're gonna install everything back in there. We're gonna get this old stuff out of the way. And then I'll show you the cold air that I ended up picking up from O'Reilly's, and we're gonna use the same cold air intake box that was here previously, but we're gonna have to use this cold air intake. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, so when you put this on, you're gonna wanna make sure that this arrow is pointing that way. So the way this works is we're gonna put this on here. Like I said, this was previously modified, so this was cut, but basically we should be able to get a good seal on here like so. Don't forget to put your other connectors back in place. Okay, so what I did is I went and bought something that would fit into the diameter here. So like I said, this previous one, this is what was on there before. This here was way too big for that, for the diameter of the mass airflow sensor. So I just went and picked up this one. This one has different diameters. So as you can see, you can put in different sizes of these to see what fits best. So I believe just one of these is just required. So that fits around the diameter there. and then that goes on over there, and I'm going to slide that on, use the same box, and we're going to close it off like this. Make sure we have this guy plumbed into that box right there, so we get cold air coming up through in here, making its way through here, going through here back into this box. Okay, so this is how it all looks now that it's all done. So I've got this here. I've got all the appropriate fillers here into here. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to tighten this up here. And then again, I've got the air box here still there. So there's a nice fit. Everything's nice and snug. And then we're going to go ahead and start this thing up. We'll check the codes and see how she runs. All right, so we drove around a little bit. Let's go ahead and reconnect here. All right, connecting. And let's see. Okay, so it looks like there's no more code. There's these other here. I got to figure out why those are in the confirmed status. I don't know if those were codes that happened before that somebody confirmed. That's what it looks like. So this has to do with throttle pedal position sensor. So hopefully we'll see if those come back or not. As you can see, the MAF is not throwing an error again on here. So let's see, no trouble codes are detected. Let's refresh one more time. And yeah, so it looks like this other issue, freeze frame, I'm not sure what that is. And I don't want to do any sort of clearing the codes yet because, again, I want to get this thing emissions tested, so I want to make sure that there's no issues. So 1632, we'll maybe have to look that up. It doesn't look like that's something that's triggered now, so we will have to see. The cool thing is you can actually kind of see other statistics. So it does say this vehicle is not ready for emissions testing yet, so I think that had to do with the fact that while I was in here in the storage locker, I had the battery disconnected, and so I'm probably going to have to wait a little bit, drive it around a bit in order to make sure that the ECU is good after the battery has been disconnected from it. So there you go. Hopefully this will run much better now, and there won't be any issues with that mass airflow sensor again. And so again, I'm going to spin this thing around a couple of times and basically see if I can get it ready for emissions testing. Once we get emissions tested, hopefully we get the plates. The next place I hope to be able to take it to is Piedmont Dragway, where Piedmont Drift is being hosted for a all-day drift event. I love to start actually getting some seat time in this car, so stay tuned.